Neri stood at the viewing window of her small outpost, watching the red sun set behind rocky hills. 6 months ago, she had been a respected scientist on her home planet. Now she was nothing but an exile. "Atmospheric reading check due in 5 minutes," said the flat voice of her eye assistant. Neri's skin flickered pale blue, a sign of frustration that no other Vosgian would see. "Proceed with standard check," she said. The outpost was silent except for the hum of machines. It sat alone on this empty mining planet, far from any space routes, the perfect place to forget someone. Neri moved to her workstation. Her 6-fingered hands passed over the control panel. The screen showed the same readings as yesterday and the day before. Nothing ever changed here. "Atmospheric composition stable," the AI reported. "Daily report prepared for transmission to High Command." "Send it," Neri said. Another useless day of monitoring an empty planet. Her punishment for questioning Vosgian ways. She walked to the small food area and prepared her evening meal. A gray nutrient paste that tasted like nothing. As she ate, she looked at the research notes that had ruined her life. The screen showed diagrams of brain patterns. Her research had suggested that emotions might actually help species survive better, not worse. This idea was forbidden. Vosgians had removed emotions from their society thousands of years ago. They believed emotions made beings weak and illogical. "You still examine your failed research," the AI noted. "This behavior is not productive." "Observation noted," Neri replied flatly, though her skin rippled dark purple with annoyance. She turned off the screen and walked to the small sleeping area. The outpost had been built for mining operations long ago, then abandoned when better mines were found. Now it served only to hold one exile. Neri lay on her sleeping platform and stared at the ceiling. She remembered the day of her judgment. The Science Council had called her work dangerous and contrary to evolutionary progress. "Scientist Neri," the head counselor had said, "your research suggests that emotional attachments provide survival benefits. This contradicts 10,000 years of Vosgian advancement. You have failed to maintain scientific objectivity." Her skin had remained carefully neutral gray that day, hiding her thoughts. But inside, questions burned. How could they ignore her evidence? What if their whole society was built on a mistake? Outside her window, night covered the barren landscape. In the darkness, small glowing insects moved across the rocks, the only other life forms on this world. Neri watched them gather in patterns, working together in ways her people would consider primitive. "Sleep cycle should commence now," the AI reminded her. Neri didn't respond. The insects clustered together for warmth as the temperature dropped. Working together, supporting each other, just like her research had suggested. "Your heart rate indicates you are not preparing for sleep," the AI noted. "Would you like a calming supplement?" "No," Neri said. She continued watching the insects. Her people believed they had evolved beyond the need for connection. Beyond friendship, beyond family, beyond caring for others. Logic and efficiency were all that mattered. Yet here she was, exiled for suggesting that connections between beings might be valuable. That caring for others might help survival, not harm it. The tiny lights outside moved in beautiful patterns, simple creatures with no technology or language, yet they survived together in this harsh place. "Tomorrow, you will repeat atmospheric monitoring at standard intervals," the AI said. "Would you like to review the schedule?" Neri's skin flickered briefly red, a sign of determination that no one would see. "No," she said softly. "I know exactly what tomorrow will bring." But she was wrong. Tomorrow would bring something no one could predict. Tomorrow would change everything Neri thought she knew about life in the universe. Tomorrow, she would no longer be alone. Neri was checking the weather sensors when the alarm sounded, a sharp, loud noise she had never heard before. "Warning," the AI announced. "Unknown object entering atmosphere. Collision course detected." Neri rushed to the main screen. A small ship was falling through the sky, trailing smoke and fire. "Identify vessel," she commanded. "Unknown design." Not in Vosgian database, the AI replied. Impact predicted in 3 minutes. Nari's skin rippled with blue spots. Surprise, a feeling she rarely allowed herself to show. The ship was small, maybe a one-person craft. It tumbled through the air without control. Protocol requires immediate report to High Command, the AI said. Nari hesitated. The correct action was clear. Any unknown ship in Vosgian space must be reported at once. But something made her pause. I will investigate first, she decided. Prepare the exploration vehicle. The AI's lights flashed in disapproval. This action contradicts protocol. I am the senior scientist here, Nari said firmly. I need to assess the threat before reporting. She was already moving to the airlock where her vehicle waited. The small rover was designed for collecting soil samples, not rescue missions, but it was all she had. Outside, the red sky was darkening to evening. Nari could see the falling ship clearly now. It was heading toward the flat plains about 3 kilometers away. She started the rover and drove fast over the rocky ground. The ship hit the surface with a flash of light and a cloud of dust. Nari's skin flickered with an emotion she couldn't name. Worry. Excitement. It took her 12 minutes to reach the crash site. The ship had carved a long line in the dirt. Pieces of metal were scattered everywhere. At the end of the trail lay the main body of the craft, still smoking. Nari approached carefully. The design was unlike any ship she had seen before. It looked primitive compared to Vosgian vessels, but some parts seemed surprisingly advanced. Scan for life forms, she told her portable scanner. 1 life form detected, it reported. Biology unknown. Life signs weak but present. Nari moved closer to the ship. Part of its side had torn open in the crash. Through the gap, she could see inside. There, strapped to his seat, was a being unlike any she had studied. It had pinkish-brown skin and dark hair on its head. Its face was strange, a flat nose, small eyes, and a mouth with thin lips. It wore a tight-fitting suit covered in strange symbols. The being was unconscious. A red liquid, blood, ran from a cut on its head. Nari's scientific mind raced. This creature was from no known species in Vosgian records. It breathed oxygen, based on her scanner readings. Its body temperature was higher than a Vosgian's. It was smaller than her by at least 30 centimeters. Perform medical scan, she ordered her device. Subject has internal injuries. Survival unlikely without medical intervention, the scanner reported. Nari knew what she should do. Protocol was clear. She should report this discovery, then wait for a research team to arrive. They would take the being for study. It would probably die during their tests. But instead, she found herself reaching into the ship. With her 6-fingered hands, she carefully unstrapped the strange being. It was surprisingly light as she lifted it out. This action violates protocol, her scanner reminded her. Nari's skin turned a deep purple, determination. I am aware, she said. She carried the unconscious being to her rover and placed it gently inside. Then she covered the creature with a thermal blanket to keep it warm. As she drove back to her outpost, Nari's mind filled with questions. What was this being? Where had it come from? Why was it here? One thing was certain. Her lonely exile had suddenly become much more complicated. Nari worked quickly in her medical bay. The strange being lay on her examination table, still unconscious. Her scanner showed its vital signs were growing weaker. Unknown species, unable to determine appropriate treatment, the AI stated. Used basic medical protocols. Nari ordered. Clean wounds. Stop bleeding. Provide oxygen. She had never treated any being except Vosgians, but her medical training gave her some understanding of how most organic life worked. She cleaned the red blood from the cut on its head and sealed the wound. The creature's breathing was shallow. Nari checked her scanner again. Oxygen levels too low for subject, it reported. Current atmosphere is 82% nitrogen, 12% oxygen. Nari adjusted the room's air mixture. Increase oxygen to 20%, she commanded. Slowly, the being's breathing improved. Nari watched its chest rise and fall. Its skin color changed slightly, becoming less pale. A good sign. 3 hours later, as Neri was analyzing blood samples, the creature moved. Its eyes opened suddenly. They were brown with white around them, very different from Neri's large, solid black eyes. The being saw Neri and tried to sit up. Its eyes grew wide. It made a loud noise and pushed itself against the wall. "You're safe," Neri said. Her skin remained neutral gray to appear less threatening. The being spoke rapid words Neri couldn't understand. Its face changed expressions quickly. Fear, Nari thought. This was what fear looked like. Translator unable to process language, the AI reported. No match in database. The being looked around wildly. Its heart rate increased. "You are injured," Nari said slowly. "I am helping you." She stepped back to give it space. The being watched her every move. Its hands were shaking. Nari pointed to the wound she had treated. "I fixed this," she said simply. The being touched its head carefully. It looked at Nari, then at the medical equipment. Slowly, its breathing calmed. "Water?" Nari asked. She held out a container of clear liquid. The being hesitated, then reached for it. Their fingers touched briefly. Nari noticed how different they were. 5 fingers instead of 6, rounded nails instead of flat ones. The being sipped the water cautiously, then drank more quickly. "Hungry?" Nari asked. She offered a plate of basic nutrients. The being smelled the food and made a face. It shook its head. "Different food needs," Nari noted. "I will analyze your requirements." She pointed to herself. "Nari," she said clearly. The being watched her, then seemed to understand. It pointed to itself. "Ta," it said. "Ta," Nari repeated. "You are Ta." Ta nodded. A simple gesture, but Nari understood it. Communication had begun. Over the next few days, Nari learned more about her visitor. Tai was male, based on his biology. He needed warmer temperatures than Vosjans. His food requirements were completely different. Nari found food packs in Tai's crashed ship. She analyzed them and created similar meals. Tai ate them eagerly. Each day, Ta grew stronger. He watched Nari work. Sometimes he tried to help, though he didn't understand her equipment. The subject should be reported to High Command, the AI reminded Nari daily. But Nari didn't report Ta. She told herself she needed to study him first, learn about his kind. This was a scientific opportunity. But deep inside, another reason grew. Ta was interesting. His expressions, his movements, his attempts to communicate, they fascinated her. One evening, as Nari checked Ta's healing wound, he smiled at her. A simple movement of his lips, showing teeth. But Nari's research told her what it meant. Gratitude, friendship, trust. Emotions her people had abandoned long ago. Nari felt something strange inside her chest. A warmth, a connection. Her skin flickered pink for a moment before she controlled it. "You are a stray," she told Tai, though he couldn't understand. "Lost far from home." Just like her. 2 weeks passed since Tai arrived. Each day, Nari and Tai tried to learn more about each other. They created a simple way to talk using pictures and hand signs. Nari drew a picture of her planet. Ta studied it, then drew his own world, a blue and green sphere. He pointed to himself, then to the picture. "Earth," he said. "Earth," Nari repeated. She pointed to her drawing. "Vosja." Ta nodded. He understood. They spent hours exchanging simple words. Food, water, sleep. Nari was surprised at how quickly Tai learned. His mind worked differently from hers, but it was sharp and quick. One morning, Nari found Ta looking at her broken air filter. It had stopped working months ago. Supply ships were rare, and she had learned to live with less clean air. Ta pointed at it. "Broken?" he asked. This was a new word they had learned yesterday. "Yes," Nari said. Broken. Tai made a motion with his hands like he was fixing something. Nari wasn't sure what he meant. She gave him some basic tools to see what would happen. To her surprise, Tai opened the filter unit. His hands moved confidently as he examined the parts inside. He worked for hours, taking pieces apart and putting them back together. By evening, the filter hummed with new life. Clean air flowed again. Ta smiled broadly. "Thank you," Neri said, another phrase they had learned. Tay's smile grew even wider. His eyes crinkled at the corners. Neri felt a strange sensation in her chest again. She noticed her heart rate had increased, and her skin temperature was higher than normal. Physical response indicates stress, the AI noted. Recommend medical check. No, Neri said. This is not stress. She knew what it was. Her research had identified these symptoms in ancient Vosgian texts. Before her people removed emotions from their lives, they had experienced this feeling. It had a name: happiness. As days passed, Tai fixed more things around the outpost: a broken water recycler, a malfunctioning door, a cracked viewing screen. Each success made him smile, and each smile caused that strange warm feeling in Nari's chest. They developed more words to share. Slowly, they began to understand each other better. One day, Ta drew a picture of many humans together. He pointed to himself, then to the group. "Family," he said. His voice sounded different, softer, sadder. "Family," Nari repeated. The concept was foreign to Vosgians. They reproduced through carefully planned genetic matching. No one raised their own offspring. Children were taught by education centers, not by those who created them. Tai made a circle with his arms, like he was holding someone. "Family," he said again. Then he dropped his arms and looked down. His eyes became wet. Water from eyes. Nari had read about this. "Tears," she said. Ta nodded. "Miss Family," he said simply. Nari understood. Tai was alone, far from his kind. Like her, but unlike her, he felt the separation deeply. His people had not abandoned emotions. They valued connections. That night, Nari reviewed her old research. The data showed that social bonds in primitive species created stronger groups. Tears, smiles, touch. These were tools for building connections. Her people saw these as weaknesses, distractions from logical thought. But Tai was not weak. His emotions drove him to learn, to fix things, to try to communicate. His feelings gave him strength. As Nari shut down her screen, she noticed her reflection. Her skin had small patches of pink showing through her normal gray color. She was changing, and for the first time since her exile began, she didn't feel alone. 1 month after Tai's arrival, Nari made a big decision. She turned off the movement controls that kept Tai from entering certain areas of the outpost. "Security protocols deactivated," the AI announced. "This action violates safety regulations." Nari ignored the warning. Ta had proven himself helpful and harmless. He deserved freedom to move around. "Ta," she called. "Come." Ta followed her to the main control room. His eyes widened as he saw all the screens and equipment. He had never been allowed in this area before. "All rooms open now," Nari explained in their simple shared language. "You can go everywhere." Ta smiled. "Thank you," he said. Then he did something unexpected. He reached out and touched Nari's hand gently. Nari's skin flashed bright pink. Physical contact was rare among Vosgians. It was considered unnecessary and primitive. But Tay's touch didn't feel primitive. It felt important. Over the next few days, Tai explored the outpost. He helped Nari with her daily tasks. He learned to read some simple Vosgian numbers and words. His quick mind impressed Nari more each day. One afternoon, Nari couldn't find Ta. She checked all the main rooms, but he wasn't there. Finally, she found him in her small research lab. He was looking at her old data screens. The screens showed brain patterns. Colorful lines showed how emotions affected thinking. Diagrams compared Vosgian brains to other species. "This," Ta said, pointing to the screens. "What is this?" Nari hesitated. How could she explain her complex research with their simple shared words? "My work," she said. "Why I am here. Alone." Ta looked at the screens again. "Pictures of thinking?" he asked. "Yes," Nari said. "My people, Vosgians, have no." She pointed to her chest, then to her head. She wasn't sure how to say emotions in a way Tai would understand. Tai seemed to think about this. Then he pointed to himself and made a happy face. Next, he made a sad face. Then an angry face. "Humans have," he said, "feelings." "Yes," Nari said. "Vosgians removed feelings. Long ago. We think feelings are bad. Make us weak." Ta shook his head. "No," he said firmly. "Feelings make strong." He pointed to the screens. "This is what you study, feelings." "Yes," Nari said. "I think feelings might help, not harm. My people said I was wrong. Sent me here as punishment." Tai was quiet for a long time. Then he looked at Nari with serious eyes. "Show me," he said. Over the next week, Nari used their growing language to explain her research. Tai watched and listened carefully. Sometimes he asked questions. Other times he added his own ideas. Nari learned that humans had studied emotions for centuries. They understood that feelings were part of thinking, not separate from it. They knew that connections between people made them stronger, not weaker. "Humans fight better when protecting family," Tai explained. "Work harder when helping friends. More brave when saving others." Nari recorded everything Tai told her. His words matched her research exactly. Emotions didn't make a species weak. They provided strength, purpose, and resilience. One night, Nari showed Tai a final screen. It had her conclusion, the one that had gotten her exiled. "Species with emotional bonds survive better than those without," she translated for him. Ta nodded. "Truth," he said simply. Nari felt a surge of emotion. For years, she had been told her ideas were wrong, dangerous. Now this being from another world was telling her she was right. "Thank you," she said, but the words didn't seem enough. Carefully, slowly, Nari reached out and touched Ta's hand, just as he had touched hers days before. Her skin turned bright pink. This time, she didn't try to hide it. Nari was checking Ta's healing wounds when the alarm sounded, a different alarm than the storm warning. This one made her skin turn pale gray with fear. "Vosgian ship approaching," the AI announced. "Scheduled inspection patrol. Arrival in 20 minutes." Nari froze. She had forgotten. Every 6 months, a patrol ship came to check on her work and bring supplies. It had been exactly 6 months since her exile began. "Ta," she said urgently, "danger coming. My people. They must not find you." Ta's eyes widened. He had learned enough of Nari's language to understand the threat. "Hide me," he said. Nari worked quickly. She took Ta to a small storage room deep in the outpost. "Stay here," she told him. "No sound. No movement." Ta nodded. "What will they do if they find me?" Nari's skin flickered dark blue. "Take you. Study you. Cut you open to see how you work." Her voice was flat, but her skin showed her fear. "I stay hidden," Ta promised. "Be careful." Nari rushed back through the outpost. She needed to hide all signs of Ta. His food containers, his makeshift bed, the human-sized tools he had made. Anything that showed a second being lived here. The eye watched her frantic movements. "Your behavior indicates stress," it noted. "Reason. Concealing the human. Recommended action. Report the specimen as required by protocol." "Override recommendation," Nari said sharply. She had just finished hiding the last of Ta's things when she heard the patrol ship land outside. Taking a deep breath, she made her skin return to neutral gray. She straightened her clothes and went to the airlock. The door opened. Two Vosgian officers entered. They were tall, with the same blue-gray skin as Neri. Their faces showed no expression. "Scientist Neri," the first officer said, "we are here for your 6-month evaluation." "Welcome," Neri said calmly. "I have prepared my research reports." The officers followed her to the main control room. One began to check her equipment. The other reviewed her data files. "Your atmospheric readings show unusual patterns," the second officer noted. "Explain." Neri's mind raced. The changes were from adjusting the air for Ta. "Storm activity affected the readings," she said. "I have detailed that in my report." The officer stared at her. Vosgians could not read emotions well, but they were trained to spot lies. "Your food supply usage is higher than expected for one person," he said. "I have been conducting experiments on local plant life," Neri said. This was partly true. She had tried to grow food that Tai could eat. The first officer returned from inspecting other rooms. "There is an unidentified energy signature in the storage area," he reported, "and signs of repairs to equipment not listed in your reports." Neri's skin almost flickered blue, but she controlled it. "I have been improving outpost systems," she said. "The energy signature is likely from my testing of new power configurations." The officers looked at each other. "We will need to conduct a full inspection," the first one said, "including all storage areas." Neri felt cold fear inside her. If they found Ta. "Of course," she said. "But first, let me show you my research update. I have made interesting discoveries about atmospheric composition." She led them to a screen and began showing complex data. She spoke in technical terms, trying to bore them, to make them less interested in searching the outpost. But the officers were not easily distracted. "After your presentation, we will inspect all areas," the second one insisted. As Neri continued talking, she noticed something on a monitor. Movement in the storage hallway. Ta had left his hiding place. Her heart beat faster. Why had he come out? What was he doing? Then she understood. The storage room had no air vents. Ta needed oxygen. He would suffocate if he stayed there too long. Neri had to make a choice. Continue her presentation and hope Ta found a better hiding place, or end it now and leave the officers away from where Ta was moving. In that moment, Neri did something no Vosgian had done in generations. She lied to protect someone else. "There has been a security breach at the main sensor array," Neri said suddenly, interrupting her own presentation. "We should check it immediately." The officers looked at the monitors. "No alarms have sounded," the first one said. "I disabled the alarm system during my repairs," Neri explained quickly. "Please, follow me to the external doors. This could be serious." She led the officers away from the storage area where Tai was moving. As they walked, she saw on a small monitor that Tai had found a new hiding place in the ventilation system. Relief washed through her. The officers found nothing wrong at the sensor array, as Neri knew they would. "There is no breach," the second officer stated. "Your behavior is concerning, Scientist Neri." "I apologize," Neri said, keeping her skin carefully neutral. "The storms have caused false readings before." The officers completed their inspection, but found no direct evidence of Ta. Still, they were suspicious. "Your reports will be analyzed carefully," the first officer warned as they prepared to leave. "Another inspection will occur in 1 month, not 6. Be prepared." As their ship lifted off, Neri felt her legs go weak. She sat down on the floor, her skin turning from neutral gray to a mix of blue relief and yellow fear. "Ta," she called once she was sure the ship was gone. "It's safe now." Tai crawled out from the ventilation duct. He was covered in dust and breathing hard, but otherwise unharmed. "They gone?" he asked. "Yes, but they will come back soon," Neri said. "With better scanners. They will find you next time." Tai sat beside her. "What we do?" Neri's mind raced through options. None were good. If the officers found Tai, they would take him for study. If they discovered she had hidden him, her punishment would be severe. "I could fix my ship," Ta suggested. Try to leave. No, Neri said quickly, surprising herself with the force of her response. Your ship too damaged. You would die. Tai was quiet for a moment. Then he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small device he had salvaged from his ship. He pressed a button, and a star map appeared. My home, he said, pointing to a star system far from Vosgian space. Human space. Maybe we go there. We? Neri asked, her skin flickering with surprise. Yes, you and me, Ta said simply. Friends stay together. Neri stared at the map. Leave Vosgian space. It was unthinkable. No Vosgian ever left willingly. Even in exile, she was still part of her society, still following most of their rules. But if she stayed, Tai would be captured, and she would lose the one being who had made her feel. What was the word? Happy. She would lose happiness. Very dangerous, she said. Long journey. Might not find your home. Ta nodded. Better than waiting for hunters, he said. That night, Neri couldn't sleep. Her mind kept returning to Ta's suggestion. Leave with him. Become a true exile, with no hope of ever returning. She closed her eyes, trying to clear her thoughts the way Vosgians were taught. But instead of emptiness, images filled her mind. Stars stretching endlessly before her. New worlds she had never seen. And beside her, Tai, pointing out sights with excitement in his eyes. Neri's eyes opened wide. She had experienced what humans called a dream. Something Vosgians had eliminated from their minds centuries ago. She got up and went to check on Ta. He was sleeping peacefully in his makeshift bed. His face looked calm, with a small smile. A feeling of warmth spread through Neri's chest as she watched him. Her skin turned a deep pink, a color of affection that no Vosgian had shown in generations. In that moment, she knew her decision was already made. She would leave with Ta, face the unknown, risk everything. Because the thought of losing him was more painful than the thought of losing her world. She had become the impossible, a Vosgian with a bond to another being. A Vosgian who cared. There has been a security breach at the main sensor array, Neri said suddenly, interrupting her own presentation. We should check it immediately. The officers looked at the monitors. No alarms have sounded, the first one said. I disabled the alarm system during my repairs, Neri explained quickly. Please, follow me to the external doors. This could be serious. She led the officers away from the storage area where Tai was moving. As they walked, she saw on a small monitor that Ta had found a new hiding place in the ventilation system. Relief washed through her. The officers found nothing wrong at the sensor array, as Neri knew they would. There is no breach, the second officer stated. Your behavior is concerning, Scientist Neri. I apologize, Neri said, keeping her skin carefully neutral. The storms have caused false readings before. The officers completed their inspection, but found no direct evidence of Ta. Still, they were suspicious. Your reports will be analyzed carefully, the first officer warned as they prepared to leave. Another inspection will occur in 1 month, not 6. Be prepared. As their ship lifted off, Neri felt her legs go weak. She sat down on the floor, her skin turning from neutral gray to a mix of blue relief and yellow fear. Ta. She called once she was sure the ship was gone. It's safe now. Tai crawled out from the ventilation duct. He was covered in dust and breathing hard, but otherwise unharmed. They gone? He asked. Yes, but they will come back soon, Neri said, with better scanners. They will find you next time. Tai sat beside her. What we do? Neri's mind raced through options. None were good. If the officers found Tai, they would take him for study. If they discovered she had hidden him, her punishment would be severe. I could fix my ship, Ta suggested. Try to leave. No, Neri said quickly, surprising herself with the force of her response. Your ship too damaged. You would die. Tai was quiet for a moment. Then he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small device he had salvaged from his ship. He pressed a button, and a star map appeared. "My home," he said, pointing to a star system far from Vosgian space. "Human space. Maybe we go there." "We?" Nari asked, her skin flickering with surprise. "Yes, you and me," Ta said simply. "Friends stay together." Nari stared at the map. Leave Vosgian space? It was unthinkable. No Vosgian ever left willingly. Even in exile, she was still part of her society, still following most of their rules. But if she stayed, Tai would be captured. And she would lose the one being who had made her feel. What was the word? Happy. She would lose happiness. "Very dangerous," she said. "Long journey. Might not find your home." Ta nodded. "Better than waiting for hunters," he said. That night, Nari couldn't sleep. Her mind kept returning to Ta's suggestion. Leave with him. Become a true exile, with no hope of ever returning. She closed her eyes, trying to clear her thoughts the way Vosgians were taught. But instead of emptiness, images filled her mind. Stars stretching endlessly before her. New worlds she had never seen. And beside her, Ta, pointing out sights with excitement in his eyes. Nari's eyes opened wide. She had experienced what humans called a dream. Something Vosgians had eliminated from their minds centuries ago. She got up and went to check on Ta. He was sleeping peacefully in his makeshift bed. His face looked calm, with a small smile. A feeling of warmth spread through Nari's chest as she watched him. Her skin turned a deep pink, a color of affection that no Vosgian had shown in generations. In that moment, she knew her decision was already made. She would leave with Ta, face the unknown, risk everything. Because the thought of losing him was more painful than the thought of losing her world. She had become the impossible, a Vosgian with a bond to another being, a Vosgian who cared. Morning came with new purpose. Nari woke Ta with exciting news. "We will go," she said, "together, to human space." Ta's face lit up with joy. He jumped to his feet and did something Nari didn't expect. He wrapped his arms around her in what humans called a hug. Nari stood stiffly at first, unused to such contact. Then, slowly, she raised her arms and returned the gesture. They had much work to do and little time. The Vosgian officers would return in 1 month. They needed to be gone before then. "We need ship," Ta said. "Your rover too small for space." "I have small emergency vessel," Nari explained, "for evacuation, but it cannot go far." Ta thought for a moment. "My ship has good parts. Engine still works. We can combine." For 3 weeks, they worked day and night. Ta's skills with machines amazed Nari. He took parts from his damaged human ship and added them to Nari's small Vosgian vessel. Together, they created something new. A hybrid ship that might just take them beyond Vosgian space. "Need food for long journey," Ta noted. They gathered all they could from the outpost supplies. "Need map," Nari said. They studied star charts together, planning their route to human territory. The work was hard, but Nari felt something strange. Happiness in the effort. Working with Ta, planning their escape, gave her more purpose than she had felt in years. Her skin often showed patches of pink and yellow now, colors of joy and excitement that she no longer tried to hide. On the night before their planned departure, Nari sat at her research station one last time. She looked at all her data about emotional connections and social bonds. Years of work that her people had rejected. "What you do?" Tai asked, coming to sit beside her. "Sending my research," Nari said, "to Vosgian Science Academy." Ta looked surprised. "Why?" "They will be angry." "Yes," Nari agreed. "But maybe, someday, they will see truth." She added one final note to her data. It read, "Emotional bonds do not weaken a species. They provide strength, purpose, and meaning." Evidence. I, Nari, have formed a bond with a being from another world. This bond has given me courage to face the unknown. It has made me stronger, not weaker. I have become the first Vosgian to care for another being as what humans call a pet, though he is much more. He is my friend. With a final press of a button, she sent all her research to her homeworld. Then she turned to Ta. Ready? Their small hybrid ship waited outside. It wasn't beautiful or fast, but it might be strong enough to carry them to human space. As dawn broke over the red horizon, Neri took one last look at the outpost that had been her prison. She felt no sadness at leaving it behind. The Aeata's voice spoke as they entered the ship. This action violates all Vosgian protocols. Your exile will become permanent. Return is not recommended. I know, Neri said. Goodbye. The ship's engines hummed to life, a mix of Vosgian technology and human ingenuity. Taz sat beside Neri at the controls. His hand rested lightly on hers. Afraid? He asked gently. Neri's skin showed blue flecks of fear mixed with pink spots of joy. Yes, she admitted, but also happy. The ship rose slowly, then faster, breaking through the thin atmosphere. Below them, the lonely outpost grew smaller until it was just a dot on the barren landscape. Ahead lay the stars, countless and bright. Somewhere among them was Earth, Ta's home, a place of emotions and connections, a place where beings cared for each other openly. As they passed the outer boundary of Vosgian space, Ta pointed ahead. New stars, he said. New home. Neri looked at the human beside her, once a strange specimen, now her closest friend, her companion, her reason for facing the unknown. And then Neri did something no Vosgian had done in 10,000 years. She laughed. The sound surprised her, bright and clear and full of joy. Tai laughed too, the sounds mingling as their small ship carried them onward into the stars. Exiled no more, but free.